This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
Greetings, everybody, and thanks so much for joining me. This chat features a conversation with New York death metal elite Ross Dolan from Immolation. Now, the catalyst for the conversation is due to the launch of a new album from the group titled Acts of God. It is out right now, and I have picked a tune to play. Before we listen to the chat, I reckon I'll go with The Age of No Light. Here it is. Ross, Andrew McKay Smith calling for our chat. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good, good. Hopefully I've caught you at a good time.
Yeah, let me just get out of this fucking venue and go across to the quiet space where I can hear you better.
No worries. What time is it? What time is it where you are at the moment?
It's 7:00 p.m. We're in Colorado right now. And it was just a real shit day. It was like we hit a lot of snow. It took us like 10.5 hours to get here last night, so it was pretty fucking brutal.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys don't have much of that, the white stuff down there.
No, we could tell you what, we're surrounded by floodwaters at the moment, though. I don't know whether, between coronavirus and bloody Ukraine, you're catching much of that news up there, but around us in Queensland and New South Wales at the moment, it's terrible, mate. It's just, I don't know, it's like we've gone from, it's biblical almost, isn't it? We've gone from pestilence, bushfire and plague into bloody floods now.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, when John from Nuclear Blast, who's setting all this up, was telling me he had a lot of problems, and I was like, oh man, that's a fucking night. Any kind of flood shit's a nightmare, man. I've had situations like that at home, and it just fucks everything up, man. I mean, you get the black mold, you got to fucking completely fucking tear shit apart. What a fucking nightmare. Yeah, it's horrible.
It stinks. You can just smell it. It's just the town. It just doesn't leave the town for ages, does it?
No, it's fail. It's fucking toxic, that shit, It's like, yeah, that sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Really fucked.
No, good, mate. We're kind of used to it, I've got to say. I think it was only 2017 we had the last lot, so here we are again. It's just, I don't know, I just remember as a kid, big events sort of happen once every 5 to 10 years or something like that, but ever since 9/11... almost maybe not every year, but you know what I'm saying? It's just constant.
Well, yeah, it's been insane. I mean, it's true. I mean, I came up in the 70s, in 80s, and it was like, you had your, Cold War shit and that kind of stuff. But I mean, now it's just like fucking 9/11. Yeah, you're right. From 9/11 forward, it's just been everything changed. Like everything.
Yeah.
Just so fucked. It's like, what else they going to throw at us?
Oh, well, God, I hope I can mention this, mate. You got Biden as president over there at the moment, so I'm not sure it can get much worse.
Yeah. I mean, well, hey, man, I'm not a fan of any of the last numbers that we've had. They're all kind of fucking fail, man,
Did you see the recent thing where Biden said, it was one of those news clips that came through, and he said 2 black guys were standing on a stage. They were clearly politicians or in the political process or something, but one of them was, let's face it, guy looked Arab. And there were 2 black guys. What did he say? He literally said this. You can check it out. Google it or what have you. He said, you 2 boys look like Obama and you look like you'd blow me up. This is the sort of shit the president's saying now. Yeah.
What the fuck? That's fucking, man, I don't know, man. It's like, is it really a democracy when we're forced to choose between 2 fails? I mean, is that really a democracy at this point? It's like when we have zero choice and really any kind of candidates, that have a ton of money behind them. And really, I don't see any of them really representing the people in any way, shape, or form, Trump was no better. I mean, I can't fucking sing praise to that fucking guy either. He was fucking a total nightmare, that guy. We grew up with Trump. He's a fucking New York guy, so I've had Trump in my, just on my radar my whole life, and that guy's a fucking total fail too. So I mean, they're all fucking fails.
Yeah,
it's like,
he's a narcissist.
Who's worse? What's that?
He's a narcissist.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, he's, it's like, is it really wise to elect a billionaire to represent the regular people? Is that really wise? I don't think so.
No, it's been, the last 2 have been shocking, and it's a really sad indictment for democracies everywhere. I think we've got similar issues down here, mate. All Western democracies resemble each other, as I'm sure you're aware. You've travelled a lot. Yeah. There's really no difference between Australian and American politics. You've got 2 parties to choose from, and they're both bad. It's just to pick the least worst.
Yeah. I absolutely, and the thing that's like just so annoying to me is just how divisive it is. I mean, our country right now is probably the most divided it's been in like my whole lifetime. You know what I'm saying? It's like insane. And over like political lines, I mean, is that the hill we want to die on? Really? Yeah. Over politicians? Really? I mean, if we could collectively come together and say, hey, we need better choices as fucking leaders and rulers. We need better people that represent us. I mean, it's like we're not all that different. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, we all kind of all need the same shit, but, we're divided along all these political lines and religious lines and all this other fucking shit. And it's just like, just a good way to keep everybody fragmented and just fucking at each other's throats, and keep our eyes off the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. It's in the last 5 years especially, we've seen critical race theory, radical gender theory, the whole the whole gamut of proto-Marxist, or maybe not proto-Marxist, neo-Marxism infect us, and it's just about dividing populations along the lines of identity and what your belief systems are, where it's like, holy shit, I mean, we are people, for God's sakes, and we've got as much in common as what we don't with each other, but the differences need to be celebrated. Always the case. The differences nationalism should be embraced, and the differences need to be celebrated. Because if you don't have the differences, what the hell are you? You just turn into those suits that the Maoists wore in China, those grey suits, and where everybody sort of looks and has the same haircut and all the rest of it, like they do in North Korea, for example.
Well, I mean, there's just so much happening right now, like you said, with the fucking whole Ukraine thing. I mean, this is just a fucking nightmare, man. I mean, these fucking poor people are just getting fucking devastated. I mean, what the fuck is that? I mean, it's just like no matter where you look, the news is negative, and it just sucks, man. It's just like, but I just hate to see such divisiveness, like, when there's so many other things that need to be addressed, really. But whatever, we're not going to solve the world's problems right now, you know what I'm saying? All we could do is like play some music and try to have a nice escape from all that shit,
I'm with you. So on that note, how's the tour? Must be going very well then, I take it, is it?
The tour's been doing really well, actually. Obviously our first time out touring since the pandemic hit, so it just feels good to be out. It feels almost back to normal here in the States. I mean, it's great to be up, on stage and seeing everybody, in the crowd so enthusiastic and having a good time. And it's just great to see all our friends and to talk to people again. And, it just almost feels normal again, which is fucking good for the soul, So, the tour's been going great. We got Mortiferum from Washington with us. We got Imperial Triumphant with us. So it's like a great fucking package.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the bands are fucking killer. I mean, both those bands are just fucking sick bands. Everybody kind of brings something different to the table on this package, so it's great. So, and then Imperial drops off in a couple of days, and then we get Black Anvil for the last 5 shows, and we're tight with those guys. We love those guys. So, I mean, but it's been a good vibe, man. Fucking everybody's having a blast. Shows are really good turnout. So, I'll take it.
Sweet, yeah. Will you be catching up with the Blood Incantation guys in Colorado? I think they're from Denver, and they've toured with you guys.
They're coming out. Yeah, they're coming out tonight. We were just texting them, so we'll see them tonight. We'll see our buddies Steve from Cephalic Carnage. We'll see a bunch of people. Sherwood, the old singer from Skinless, might come out. So we'll should be cool.
Good party. Yeah, gotcha. Well, look, it's all possible because of this, your 11th album, this tour, An Act of God. And can you believe it's your 15th release overall, that including DVDs, EPs, that sort of thing. But, look, just talking about the album specifically, what more can I say? It is pure grinding classic Immolation, just as we, the fans, love it. And you're on point on this album here, but I guess the question after saying that is, to what, if anything, can you attribute the success of your decades-long songwriting in partnership with Robert and the lads based on the quality of An Act of God?
I guess we all still really enjoy what we do. We're still very passionate about, creating music that we enjoy, music that's dark and haunting, that has like that specific type of feeling that we strive for, and something that has something to say. We still enjoy it. We enjoy the whole process. We enjoy, creating the music together and recording it and then getting out on tour and being able to perform it to everybody around the world. I mean, every part of it is cool for us. It's just something, we've always enjoyed, and it's, I guess we're very fortunate to be able to, still be able to do this after like 34 years at this point, so, and it's, we never had any intentions, as I've said a million times in interviews, we never really, thought about the long game when we started in '88. It was more like, hey, we love this kind of music, and once we first heard like some of that earlier stuff, we were like, wow, this is awesome, So we were all about creating something dark and heavy and sick and unique, and we still have that feeling every time we start a new album cycle. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that would probably be the main, the main driving force behind us is the fact that we're all on the same page. We all have this share the same vision, more or less, about, you know, what this band means to us and what it means to the fans and how we want to proceed forward, you know. So, yeah, I guess that's probably my best answer for that one.
No, it's a solid answer. Yeah. Look, I lived with the album for about 3 weeks or so, but not long enough, I think, to pick up that you've tried something radically different or new this time around. So did you try anything radically new or different this time around?
You know, Bob always tries to, you know, build on, I guess, what he's done in the past and try to keep it true to what we've established, you know, true to that foundation that we kind of started back in the 80s, you know. But he always tries to, you know, infuse some newer elements. I mean, nothing off the charts, though. No left turns where the fans would be like, that was unexpected. You know what I'm saying? I think with this album, he just really just delivered something that was really sharp and concise, you know, dynamic and just to the point. You know, all the songs are, in my opinion, standalones, which is, you know, rare for us. You know, there's always, you know, some really good songs I feel on the record, and then there's some songs that I always feel could have been better or could have, you know, been tweaked a little bit more to make them better. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, these the songs are just strong and concise and heavy and dark and just I think some of Bob's best material, you know, in years. So I love it. I think it's great. It's great.
Look, I'm a musician, I'm a guitarist and a bassist, and I'm a bit of a student of death metal guitar playing. And you've got guys like Trey from Morbid Angel, of course, that get their due, and Alex Webster on bass in Cannibal Corpse. Robert never seems to get mentioned in the real great death metal, the death metal guitar greats, if you like, which I think is an oversight. And I think it's more the quality of journalism that's out there than anything else. I don't think it's anything Robert's out there doing interviews or what have you. But Robert has one of the most unique and distinct styles in death and extreme metal. So would you agree with my statements there that you do feel that he's an underrated death metal guitarist and he doesn't get the acknowledgement that he should?
Absolutely. I've always felt that. Always, since day one, you know, I've always felt like he's always been overlooked and just, you know, kind of overshadowed by everybody else. And, you know, and not to take anything away from some of the other greats out there, like you mentioned, you know what I'm saying? But there's a place, you know, there's still room for Bob in there, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, you know, so yeah. And I think, you know, I think with this album, I see things starting to kind of change a little bit. I see people finally starting to realize this and say, hey, you know, this guy has, over the last 30 years, consistently put out great material that's unique and, you know, it's not generic. It's just very unique and it's you know, it's very identifiable with the band. I mean, you know, we kind of established that identity back in the 80s, you know, and it was important to kind of maintain that throughout the years. So, and he's done just that, you know, and he's you know, experimented enough to kind of make things interesting, but he hasn't gone over that line. You know, what some bands sometimes do, they cross that line and they go into that uncharted territory, and sometimes the fans aren't a fan of that. I know as a 15, 16-year-old fan, you know, getting into this kind of stuff back in the day, if a band jumped a shark, man, you were just like not about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway, so he's always tried to kind of, you know, maintain the essence of this band and what he started. And, you know, and I always felt he should have been recognized more for that. But, you know, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, you know, it's not anything we really dwell on or think about really. You know, we're talking about it now. So yes, you know, that's how I feel about it. But yeah, I mean, it's not like you do this for the accolades and any of that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? We're just happy to do it. And the more people who like it and come out to our shows and are excited about it, you know, that's what counts. You know, when kids like, you know, I was talking to a friend of ours last night, came out to a show and she was like, wow, man, you know, I really needed this record, man. This record really helped me mentally, you know. It was just such a dark time. And when I heard this album finally, you know, after the anticipation, I was so just in such a good place, and I could relate. You know, music helps us through those times in our lives. You know, we've all been there, you know, and you just kind of get absorbed in the music, and it's you know, it's therapeutic in a lot of ways, and it's fucking, you know, it's great, man. You know, and it's unifying in a lot of ways. You know, it brings people together. You know, you know, the metal community is always united. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the unique thing about it. So that's kind of what it's about, really, at the end of the day. Not about whatever, who's better or who's not better. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's never about that shit. Who cares, really?
The music that matters, and the fans have voted, and you're one of the most popular, enduring death metal bands of all time. So that says it all, really.
Well, that's cool. I mean, listen, I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm just glad people enjoy what we do, and like I said, man, and I feel fortunate, at this age to still be in the game and still be part of it, and to still feel like I'm like 16 again, as far as like, how excited we are about, this record and just getting out there on the road and touring. It's just awesome, man. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
What about lyrical themes this time around? Did you want to address, gosh, we've already spoken about what's going on in the world. So did any of that end up in the lyrics this time around?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it always does. I mean, during the pandemic, we were all locked down and we were kind of, in our homes, just, wasting away. So you had to kind of look outward and see what was going on around the world, to kind of, feel like you were part of something, Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was just so much, and again, people always ask, was this album inspired by the pandemic? No, not at all. It's not a pandemic record at all, but I mean, it's about things that were happening during the pandemic and even before the pandemic, and there's a lot of that in there. We've touched on a lot of the anti-religious themes again. We've come full circle with that, and that's just because, like, I've just read so many crazy articles about so many fucked up things, like, that were done under the banner of religion, and it's just, to me, it's just so disheartening to still, like, see this in the modern age, that superstition and denial of fact and reason is still prevalent. You know what I'm saying? It's just, to me, it's disheartening. It's almost like we're going backwards as a species, and that's kind of what the song "The Age of No Light" is about. It's about that. Just like, are we really progressing forward, or are we fucking going backwards? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that on this record. So yeah, we definitely touch more on the religious themes, more heavily on this record, like I said. And there's a lot of social things on there too. Just a good hard look at the world and humanity as a just fucked up species. Because that's the only way I could put it. That's how we are. Yeah. I don't exclude myself from that, but when you're looking at the big picture, look at all the fucked up shit we've done. And it doesn't ever seem to be getting better. I mean, we just spent the first 10 minutes of our conversation talking about how things keep getting worse and worse and worse. So anyway, but I am hopeful. With all that negativity, I still try to be hopeful. So we'll see how things progress.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Hey, look, I talked about Robert's guitar playing as a feature of the band, but I mean, look, probably the most prominent things as far as fans are concerned is your vocal. And to give you props for that, you were certainly one of the first death metal vocalists that I listened to. I'm 43, okay, so I've been listening to this ever since I first heard Legion, DSI's Legion back in 92. And I distinctly remember when I heard your vocal thinking, I understand what you're singing. You were about the only person back then where that could be true. Now everybody has the death metal vocal style is a very musical thing, meaning it's an instrument into itself. It's a voice, sure, but it's an instrument as well. But please tell me you get recognised for that during interviews and in conversations.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, people do mention that. I mean, I've read that even in just reviews and stuff, which is cool because I do try. I mean, for us, the lyrics are as important as the music. They work hand in hand. So we've always, as you know, from day one, spent a lot of time, working on our lyrics, trying to say something, through our lyrics and, saying it in such a way that it's, like, for example, this album, every song has a specific idea behind it, but it's written in a way that's somewhat ambiguous. You don't want to give it all away to the listener. You want people to get something out of it as well. But the lyrics are always super important to us. The ideas, the themes we touch on, it always meant a lot to us. So yeah, I always felt that, it's important to fucking hear what I'm singing, So there's a way to articulate it without losing the heaviness and the ferocity of it, and just that sickness, So yeah, I mean, I've always tried real hard, on every record, and of course over the years it's gotten, for me, it's gotten better. It's, I think I'm more comfortable with, my role in the band. I wasn't originally supposed to be the singer. I was just the bass player, and then I kind of got thrown into that role. So I had to kind of adapt and adjust on the fly before like a show we had, our first show in like '88. So that's how that all came to be. So I was never comfortable being the quote unquote front man. You know what I'm saying? I hate to be the guy with the attention on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy at all. But unfortunately, that's my role. So I have to kind of, make the best out of it. So I do my best. But I mean, as far as like, yes, I mean, I definitely try to articulate what I'm saying. It's so important to hear those lyrics, and I do my best. So I'm glad people recognize that, and I try to keep it, heavy as fuck with every record, so I do my best.
Yeah, got you. Now, your bass too, your bass recording setup for the album An Act of God. Can you talk me through that?
The bass?
Yeah, the bass recording setup you used. So the bass you used, and if you used an amp, what amp?
Oh, okay. For this one, I think I used the same setup that I did for Atonement. I try different things every session. You know what I'm saying? Just to see how it sounds. But with this session, I got a really good sound. I think I was using an SVT, Ampeg SVT Classic, well, one of the original classics, not one of the newer classics. You know what I'm saying? One of the old school ones. Yep. Our producer Paul has just a whole arsenal of like vintage stuff. So I tried that out, maybe on Atonement, maybe before, I can't even remember, but I just love the sound of that classic, that classic SVT, and it just sounded great, So I just used that, and there really wasn't much to dial in, and I've been an Ibanez man since day one, since I started, messing around on the bass in like 86, 87, So I've been playing Ibanez basses since day one. And then when the Soundgear series came out back in like 90 or 91. Yeah, that's all I've played since. Yeah, that's all I ever played was Soundgear series. So that's what I'm playing now. It's SR. I think it's 800. Pretty sure. I'm bad with that shit. I'm not like a gear nerd. You know what I'm saying? I like what I like. You know what I'm saying? I know what I like as far as sound. So, but yeah, so that's pretty basic. It's, that's kind of all I'm running through.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. The sound. Do you like the Ibanez's, the sound gears in particular, because they've got the thinner neck and it's easier for you to play them?
Yes, absolutely. You nailed it. It's they're just, for me, they're just really light and just super comfortable to play. I move around a lot on stage, so I don't like shit that's pointy and awkward. I just like just regular Strat shape. Those are nice and thin. They sound great. I mean, I love them. And I've just been playing them forever. And I have an SVT Classic that I have at home, but I don't bring it on the road with me. I've been using GK Gallon Kruger. I think it's a 700 RB. That's what I play here live. And I have Mesa cabinets that I've had since the 90s that are just fucking badass. Mesa Boogie. I got two 15s and two 10s. On this tour, I just brought out the 15s, and it just sounds fucking bombastic. So
my God, it must sound like a bloody helicopter's behind you.
Yeah, it's fucking nice, man. I love that, But when we do like festival runs and stuff like that, I typically will choose the SVT Classic and the 810 setup that Ampeg has too, and those are fucking great as well. But I've been using the Mesa Boogie because that's kind of what I got in the 90s, and I very attached to it. So that's what I use at home,
Yeah, and it survived, obviously, 30 years now almost. So obviously you've had good roadies that have treated it well.
Well, yeah. I mean, those cabinets I bought before fucking Dawn of Possession came out, and I'm still using them on the road now. And like countless people have like we're sharing our cabinets with Mortiferum and Imperial Triumphant on this tour. So they're using all our cabs, and we usually try to do that. When we're headlining, we always usually extend that to the support band just to make life easy for them, and to help with changeovers. And a lot of times they're just going out in a van. They don't want to bring the trailer, so just to save space for them, and it's it's not a big deal. So we usually do that. So like a ton of people have played on my cabinet, so it's kind of cool. They got a history to them too.
Cool. Yeah, I play Gully and Kruger actually. Yeah, and I've never switched actually. I've got to say, I've just found them. I use a 2001 because I play 5-string, but I play a lot of funk stuff as well. And you just need that rumble. Yeah, you just need that rumble to go through. And also, I'm often playing on stage where there's virtually no PA or back line. So it's just me. And you have to have that versatility.
Yeah.
You know?
What's that?
You got to have that versatility with it all. You know what I mean? You just got to have something where you can turn up really loud, or you can play it soft.
Exactly. And typically we're not loud. We don't have loud stage volumes this band. You know, we have compared to a lot of fucking metal acts, our stage volume is kind of like tame. You know, so it's not bombastic. But in those situations where you kind of need it, you have it. You know, and I mean, my settings on my GK with what I'm running now is like pretty much dialed all the way down almost to the bottom. I don't need to come up and pass like 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? That's how fucking ballsy it is. So it's nice.
Yeah, cool. Hey, look, how much time have I got with you? Have I got time for one more question?
Absolutely.
Cool. Look, you've worked with Swen from Aborted on album covers in the past, and this time around you've partnered with Eliran. I think it's Eliran Cantor. I hope I pronounced his name correctly there. Yeah. Look, he's done a lot of sick stuff recently, and a very good example is your artwork here on An Act of God. So was it you that gave him the brief for what you wanted the artwork to look like, and can you tell me about like the meaning, if there is any, behind the artwork?
Yeah, I mean, with all our covers, we're really hands-on and very meticulous about what you see on the covers from the beginning. So we go as far as writing to the artist and telling them, here's the album title, here's what it means to us visually, here's what we're looking for. You know, as far as placement of the figures on the cover that you see, the tone, the coloring, everything, you know, we kind of like just lay it out there, you know, and we almost even sent Eliran a sketch, because we've done that in the past too, sending the artist just like, it's just a, you know, shitty sketch that we draw just to kind of give them an idea, you know. We didn't do that this time because we felt like, you know what, let's let Eliran, you know, let's see where he's coming from, you know, let's see his perspective, you know, because that was the whole thing. We're trying to figure out the perspective of what you see on that cover, and let's let him run with it and see what he comes up with. And he got right back to us and he said, hey man, I fucking love this concept. He's like, I would only ask to, you know, maybe, you know, make a few adjustments if you guys are cool with this. And he made a couple of changes that we didn't even think of. We were like, wow, that's a great idea. You know what I'm saying? Originally, the dark rays coming down were going to be burning the angels.
Right.
He suggested it almost like they were melting the angels, and we thought that was really cool, you know, because we were trying to get a blend of that dark surrealism of like the artists, like the Polish artist Beksinski, and of course between that and some of the classic like Renaissance-y kind of, you know, religious paintings, you know. And Eliran has that perfect, you know, blend of both of those kind of vibes in all of his art, you know. And that's why we went right to him. We're like, this is the guy. We wanted something much darker than the previous records, something a little bit different, and something that had that kind of, you know, nod to the old school classic, you know, religious paintings, you know, but done in a dark way. And I think he fucking nailed it on all fronts, you know. It was perfect. And, you know, the idea from that came, we just sat down and we just read through the lyrics, you know, when they were all completed. We were in the studio and we saw a couple of things that kind of popped out of us. There was a lot of mentions of light and dark light throughout the record and you know, multiple songs. And then there was also a lot of mentions of fire, you know, as a cleansing mechanism, as a purging, and as a destructive force as well. So that's where we kind of got the idea of the dark light kind of burning the angels, you know. That got changed ultimately in the final piece, but that was the catalyst for that concept, you know. You know, that's where it came from, more or less.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I guess my final point's also a question, but I would love to buy a tour T-shirt with the Australian dates on the back with that artwork on the front. So please tell me you've looked into or investigated coming down here in the near future.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this year we're focusing just on the U.S. just because things just we decided not to do Europe this year for touring wise. We're doing a couple of festivals over there, but that's it. So probably in 2023 we're going to look to kind of expand more and just kind of get out there more around the globe. So definitely Australia, New Zealand. Will definitely be on the list. I mean, we're tight with Dave Haley from Psychroptic. He's a really good friend of ours.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
And he's brought us down twice already. And he's the man. He's a good friend, solid dude, fucking honest guy, and a guy we trust and we love working with. And everything goes smooth with him. So we will probably reach out to him in the near future and see what we could put together.
Yeah, he's in about 15 other bands these days, as you're probably aware. So if it's not Psychroptic, there'll be some. Werewolves is another killer one with a great guitarist, Matt Wilcock. He's a guitarist that I think you'd love to listen to or hear. He was in Acre Cocker and a few other internet, British.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt's a killer guitarist. If you guys ever get together, I think you'd make a hell of a record, I must say. So
sick. Yeah, Dave's just a beast behind the kit, man. But he's a humble dude, man. He's an awesome dude, like great guy, man. We love that dude. He's just fucking awesome, So yeah, I mean, it's just cool when you just kind of make these friendships around the globe with like good people, good solid people, man. So yeah, we're looking forward to it, man. So nothing yet in the works, but we will be addressing that in the upcoming months and try to start planning out 2023. So I'm sure you will see us sometime next year with this album cycle.
No worries, mate. Well, look, it's been fantastic to finally have a chat to you. You can tell that I'm a fan. I've been listening to the band for a long time now. I used to love reading your interviews in Metal Maniacs back in the day.
Oh, wow. Old school. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I used to love looking forward to that. I especially remember, what was the album that they celebrated? What was your album from 2000? Sorry, I've got a mental blank. But I remember,
it's Close to World Below, probably.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, but remember they did a massive deep dive on that in your recording process, and I think they spent a couple of weeks with you or something, or one of the journalists did anyway. Do you remember that? Does that ring a bell?
Vaguely. I mean, Metal Maniacs, we were in Metal Maniacs a couple of times throughout the years, but I don't remember specifically. They may have done something like that. It's been like so many fucking years. I can't remember.
But I remember that's how I became familiar with. So in Australia, there was a couple of publications, but none had the reach of Metal Maniacs, of course. And I just loved reading about bands like you guys, Incantation, Suffocation, Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Obituary. All of these bands, it all seemed like it was just so far away and distant to us here. And it's just such a wonderful privilege now for me to be able to talk to you. So I appreciate it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, same for us. I mean, it seemed like, well, hopefully one day we'll get to, I mean, and it took us forever to get down there to you guys. I mean, we only just came down there when Atonement came out. So, or right before Atonement came out. So it took us a long fucking time. So, we always, you guys are always on our radar. Just that, we just never had any opportunities. It's not like we could just say, hey, we're going to go down to Australia and play. You gotta kind of.
Yeah, I know. It costs more to come here than probably anywhere else. I get that. And I think most fans get that too, yeah.
Yeah, but once we finally did make it down and we saw like the reaction, we just really got to experience it firsthand. That was awesome, man. Everybody was so fucking awesome, man. Just so excited to see us and talk to us, and it was just such a good vibe, man. Yeah, we loved it down there, man. It was fucking awesome. So yeah, I mean, we will definitely be planning to return. Trust me.
Wonderful stuff, mate. Well, look, I'll let you get back to your preparation for tonight's gig. Good luck with it. I'm sure it'll go off, and enjoy catching up with the fellas there in Blood Incantation and Cephalic Carnage and the like, man. Congratulations on an epic career to date, and just hope to see you down here, as we say, soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, my man. Pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for having me, and hope to meet you in person once we're down there.
I hope so. We'll have a beer, mate. I'll make sure. I'll try and have a beer with you in Brisbane next time you're down.
Okay. Sounds
sure,
good.
Bro. No worries.
All right. Bye-bye.
Catch you, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that was him, Ross Dolan from Immolation. What a pleasure to chat to the legend. What a great fella. I love having these conversations. Now, before I let you go, please go across and check out my book. Go to scarsandguitars.com, hit the link in the banner, and it'll take you to another link. Yes, it'll take you to another place where you can select a marketplace in which you can peruse the book. In the book, what can you expect to read? A bit of a summary about many of the conversations that I've conducted for the podcast with some of my own life. It's a bit autobiographical. I'll get it eventually, too. But you can go across and you can download a sample from Amazon and Apple. Yes, they both do that, but there's Barnes & Noble and a few other retailers there. I've already had a few listeners hit me up and say that they've bought the book, and I genuinely appreciate that, truly appreciate that, because, it will cost you some money to buy the book. The podcast is done for free, of course. It's something that I do as a hobby, but I thought, why don't I turn my hand to writing a book and see what happens? And so far, so good. So if you're interested, go across and check it out, and tell me what you think. This is the Scars and Guitars podcast, and my name is Andrew Mackay Smith, and until next time, it is a very goodbye for now.